All right. Today my talk was going to be no regrets. But you know what happens when we start writing a talk, ministers and practitioners? What, Suzanne, Reverend Suzanne, what happens when we start writing those talks? Yeah, it changes. So what happens, I'm writing a song on no regrets, and then I start having regrets, right? Because it all comes up in your face, whatever it is that you didn't let go of. I let go of that 35 years ago. No, you didn't. Here it is. 2 o'clock in the morning. Anybody? 2 a.m. Yeah. Why am I thinking about this? It was 35 years ago. I don't care. Yes, you do. So I'm trying to wake him up. Wake up. I'm awake. You have to sit up with me, right? He's not letting me bother him at all. And so it's just me and God. I'm just laying there. Oh my gosh, I can't believe I did that. I can't believe I said that. You know, I'm not perfect. I've done stuff. I've done things that I'm not proud of. But all of a sudden I get this booming voice in my head. Not with my ears, but in there. And it said, lay it on the altar. I said, what? It did not repeat itself. Lay it on the altar. Okay, so what do I do with this? I do the best thing that I know that I can do on this, and I take all this junk that I've got in my head right now, and I give it to God. I lay it on the altar. Here you go. And you know what happened? I went to sleep. True story. True story. So what does lay it on the altar mean? It means that we give it over to God. You guys probably can't see me above that. Right? And here's another secret. I wear my flip-flops. I brought my heels over there. I put them on today. So anyway, love you guys. So it means we give it over to God. We turn it over to that greater power. Am I too loud, John? Because I'm hearing my...
Yeah.
I want to go into a rap song or something. I bet you that's how they do it. Thank you. I appreciate that. So it just means that we don't need to hold on to the past any longer. We need to let go and let God do what God does best. God doesn't recognize anything outside of itself. Do you know that? Do you know that in religious science there's only one mind, right? And it's all that's peace and love and joy and power and all things good, great, whole, and complete. This one perfect energy. So how can it recognize anything outside of itself? Outside of itself would mean what? What would be outside of that stuff?
Fear.
Fear. What else? Doubt. Oh gosh, that's a big one. Yeah. What else? Shame. Yes. Guilt. Man, we're all versed in this stuff, aren't we? We know it. Like Reverend Suzanne was talking earlier about all the cobwebs in our mind. All those things just stick in there. Just stick in there. So anyway, so anything... God doesn't recognize anything outside of itself. So anything we create with our own mind, those fears, those doubts, those upsets, those angers, those whatever they are, regrets, those are things that we create in our mind. It is because we think it's so. When we let go of something, what does that leave? It leaves a void. What do you say, John?
So the universe always fills a void.
The universe always fills a void. So what does it fill it with when we leave a hole?
More guilt.
It can. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. It gives you room for something else. And you are a choice with what you want to put in there. So what do you want to put in there? So we have like addictions. Sometimes we have addictions and we leave one addiction only to fill it up with another one. Right? Sometimes that happens. Or sometimes we fill it up with nice things. With love, with happiness, with new people, with new things to do, with a new type of life. That's what we do. It leaves space for our good if we allow it to. If we could just stop thinking about the angst for long enough. When we pray or meditate, we give our stuff over to God, kind of like what we did today. We gave it over to God. Sometimes we have to do it 2 or 3 more times, don't we? Maybe more than that, maybe less. It just depends. So when we pray, we go to a physical altar, a spiritual altar like we did in our prayer. Then we also have our physical altars. Does anybody have an altar at home? Yeah, you guys are good. We do. We have our own altars. Mine is at my little altar, I get up just like Reverend Suzanne said, my morning prayers is like somebody else does it in the morning too. That's so cool. So, like I have my little chimes up here, thank you CSL Auburn, and then I have my little bells, and I have sage. Well, the other morning I was burning sage, and when I go into prayer, I go in pretty deep, right? And all of a sudden, I hear his voice. He's peeking around the corner, and he said, I know you told me not to bother you when you're doing this in the morning, but it's a little smoky in here. So I apparently was burning a little bit too much sage. It set off the alarm after that. So we got to be a little careful with that. But I do. I have my scents, and I have my angel. I kid you not. So I have this beautiful little angel that sits on my altar. And many, many years ago, some of you remember those days, many of the years ago, I was having a silent tantrum, and I was just throwing a fit. And it finally came out. And I said, angels, if you're here, I want you front and center. I want you right in front of me. I've had enough of this stuff. And I did say the word, by the way. I want you front and center. And nothing happened. I'm looking around. Here I am here. Well, this is a bunch of hooey. So I went back into my feeling sorry for myself and went to work the next day. I came home from work. My mother comes up. She knocks on the door. And here she has this most beautiful ceramic angel in her hand. And she gives it to me front and center. And said to me, I saw this today, and I just was thinking of you. So I got it for you. So that was my reminder. Don't tempt the universe with things, that you don't understand. So the beautiful angel did come to me. She answered me in that.
So your
that
mom was the original Alexa.
My mother was the original Alexa, among other things. We won't go there. Bless you, Mother. So anyway, I'm hijacking my own talk. All right. So I've always believed that there is great power in stillness. When we take the time to get quiet, there so lies our strength. Isaiah 30:15 says, in quietness and trust is your strength. In quietness and trust is your strength. When we come to the altar, sometimes in our greatest times of sorrow, we lay down our heartache and we give it to God. The physical altar gives us a place to actually touch. And they hear us, like my angel. Make no mistake. The thoughts that we hold, for those of you that have been doing this for a while, the thoughts that we hold create a mold in the spirit, and then it starts to take form in the outer world, which is why it's important to leave the thoughts that pain us, that hurt us, with God, and allow Spirit to do what Spirit does best. Handle it. Take care of it. We aren't necessarily battling the outside world as much as we battle what's going on inside of ourselves because of the outside circumstances. How long does anyone think that they can just do it without Spirit supporting them and guiding them? Like the song our little choir did, John did, something in the water. God, if you're there, come rescue me. That's the thing. You're not alone, and you never will be, no matter what it's looking like. Ernest Holmes will tell us that if a man can change his inner concept, his whole life will be changed. If a man can change his inner concept, his whole life will be changed. Well, we have lay it on the altar. I learned this last week. A-L-T-A-R, right? But then there's another. There's another one. Altar. A-L-T-E-R. Right? So you either lay it on the altar, or when you lay it on the altar, you're altering your life. Kind of like change your thinking, change your... Oh, gosh, you guys know your stuff. Yeah. Change your thinking, change your life, alter it, change it, do something different. But do something. Like I tell John when we're in the store, should we do this? Should we do that? Walk. Just walk. Just do something. Move forward. The next right thing. The next step in front of the other step. Just take that next step if you don't know what to do or where to go. All cause is from within. All effect, and then it happens on the outside. Everything starts with a thought. It moves down to our heart, and then it becomes a feeling. And once it's a feeling, it's game on. And that can either be a really good thing, or it can be a really scary thing. It is, once again, because we think it's so. The mental law of mind is neutral. And then we add our emotions. Oh, love. Ooh, fear. Ooh, happiness. Ooh, I'm sad. That's the way that rolls. It's neutral. So we get to put where we want our feelings to go, where we want our life to go. Yeah. So life can go either way according to our own faith and beliefs, our emotions. My best girlfriend said, do you guys ever hear the armor of God? Has anybody heard that before? Well, my best girlfriend says, I get up in the morning and I put on the armor of God. And I'm like, what the heck is the armor of God? I mean, like you would think you would know what the armor of God is, right? But I was like, I'd never heard it in religious science. Well, funny thing, Ernest Holmes has something that he says about the armor of God. Because I'm looking through my book, and I got to find something from Ernest Holmes for this. And he says that the armor of God is a form of protection and trust in the law of good. The armor of God is a form of protection and trust in the law of good. Science of Mind 494.4, by the way. The armor of God is faith in the good, knowing that against truth nothing can stand. With God for you, what can be against you? Not a damn thing. Nothing. But you gotta know it. You gotta feel it. You gotta believe it. You gotta practice it. Get yourself an altar. So at the beginning, I mentioned that I'd been working on the talk, No Regrets. And then I started having regrets. Blah, blah, blah. So let's define regret. Has anybody ever had regrets besides me? Anybody? Yeah, okay. All right. So let's see. Regret is, Wikipedia, by the way, regret is the emotion of wishing one had made a different decision in the past because the consequences of the decision one did make were unfavorable. We have them. We all have them, except my dad before he passed. He was 80, so I'd go down to Los Gatos and I'd visit him, and he'd say, Pix, I've had a good life. I have no regrets. Well, he led kind of a colorful life. I'll tell you, kind of something like it had to do with ponies and the track, and then there was something that had to do with the back room poker games at 2 a.m. with half the town's police force back in the day. I mean, he had a lot of fun. But he didn't have any regrets. He didn't live a sissy life, but he had the humility to say, no regrets. And that stuck with me. When we allow ourselves to live in regret, we start to beat ourselves up, don't we? We start to be unkind to ourselves. And by the way, that person that did whatever it is that you were doing when you had the regrets about doesn't exist anymore. You're not that person anymore. You're not. So stop it. If you have regrets about wasted time, that's another one. Wasted time, I'm big on that one. Yeah, so I'm here to tell you to lose the thoughts about wasted time. Just lose it. Lose it. So what do these thoughts create? What do they create when we start regrets or past lost time? What do they create? They create worry, they create more upset, and more wishing things were different, and then more regret. And then you're in this nasty cycle that goes around and around. We are exactly where we're supposed to be right now. Everybody's exactly where you're supposed to be. We all get here, we got all sorts of things that we're supposed to learn by the time we get here. None of it feels good. Some of it feels really kind of crappy. Feels bad. But guess what? You're learning. You're here. So you're coming back around again. Yeah. Okay. Oh, this was good. I don't know who wrote this. I wish I did. Much like the waters, those emotions, they're going crazy, those little thoughts drive us nuts. Much like the waters of a river, as it enters a plain, our untrained thoughts, religious science people, our untrained thoughts and emotions will carry us in many directions. Yeah, if we don't get a handle on it, get in that river and go in the flow in one direction. Can you imagine that? Here it comes, and then there's that flat plateau out there, and the water's just going everywhere. Drives us crazy, doesn't it? Yeah. Ernest Holmes wrote that it's impossible for you to receive that which your mind refuses to accept. Ooh. It is impossible for you to receive that which your mind refuses to accept. Take that one. Remember that. Yeah, it can't happen. It just can't. And so we're a choice to make empowered decisions for ourselves, to think on purpose. We can take those crummy situations, those really crummy situations, those things that drive us nuts, own them. Own them. Yeah, I said that. Yeah, I did that. Well, that was kind of a crummy thing to do. I did it. I own it. I stand up to it. And then you know what? I'm going to take that stuff and I'm going to lay it on the altar. Give it over to God. I did it. I own it. Here you go, God. Take it. Take it. I'm done with it. I don't need that anymore. That doesn't help me. It hurts me. It hinders me. I'm not here for all that junk. I did it. I learned from it. Now I'm moving forward. I'm going somewhere else now. That past, it's not here anymore. Nope. I can't do anything about the past. Right? It doesn't exist. What's in the future? Oh, it's our imagination. Yeah, take care of today, and tomorrow takes care of itself. Right? We work towards a really great future because we let this stuff go. You just pull the love from it. If there's any love in it, you pull the love. You keep that. That's what you always get to keep. So at this moment, we can change how we feel. And when we change how we feel in this moment, it changes everything about the future. So what do we want most? 9 times out of 10, wrote Suzanne, what do people want when they come into prayer? They want peace. Because what happens when we have peace? Our finances are smooth. Our health is like amazingly great. Our relationships are loving and kind. We're at peace. We're at peace. There is no worry. There is no regret. Everything is in divine right order. It's either peace or fear. Now think about this. Peace or fear. That's at the bottom of everything. Really. And later, I invite you to look at this. So if I start to peel this onion, or if I start to take off the layers of whatever, down at the very bottom of every feeling is going to be peace or fear. Or love. Yeah, I like love. Peace is what I want to feel all the time. So take your emotions to the altar. Turn it over to God. Let God do what God does. Whatever it is, no regrets. Trust in God with all your heart and all your soul. You are not alone. Lay it on the altar and alter your universe. And so it is. Namaste. You guys are rocking. I miss it.